Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Super Paranormal Chronicles. Tonight, we have a fantastic guest by the name of Mike Familant. I hope I've pronounced that correctly, who is a full-time Bigfoot researcher. We're going to go more into what he's doing and how he's doing his investigations a bit later, but I'd like to introduce my regular co-host, Megan.
Hello.
And Mike, thank you for being one of our fabulous guests on this new podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. This is awesome. Thank you. This is great.
So I'm going to start off on something that's a complete tangent and got nothing to do with Bigfoot. But are you still an EMT and firefighter?
No, I don't do that anymore. No, used to.
Because I'm in the same boat. I was a firefighter for 12 years and a paramedic for 13. So we have that in common.
Fun fact for you. Do you know what the average over the span of an EMT or paramedic's lifetime is being a paramedic or EMT? 12 years.
Yeah.
So you and I both nail it right in the head there, sir.
Yeah. My excuse is I came to Canada and married a Canadian, so that's my excuse.
I just got burnt out.
Oh, yeah, I can understand that. Okay, Mike, so you started approximately in 2011. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you had an experience that I'd like you to tell us about, if you could, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was working down at a beach resort in Sarasota, Florida, which, if you guys don't know, it's like the most beautiful place you've ever been before, ever. And the boss was like, "Hey, I want you to lock up and watch the beach or watch the sunset on the beach with a guest." I'm like, "Dude, you don't have to tell me twice, you know?" Anyways, I'm there, and I'm living down there, and I'm watching. One night I was bored, and I was watching Finding Bigfoot on TV. Have you guys seen Finding Bigfoot?
I think I've seen it advertised because obviously you get different TV shows in the UK at the time.
Yeah. It's a show over here. It's on Animal Planet, and it's basically a show where they go out and they look for Bigfoot. They investigate Bigfoot, and they also speak to Bigfoot witnesses, which is really cool. It's very similar to my show, except my show's better.
Of course.
Yes.
And so I was watching it one night, and they were like, "Hey, if you want to go out with these researchers, you can." And I was like, "Oh my good God, there's no way that's not going to happen. I'm going out with them, you know?" So I signed up that night. I got 2 tickets, one for me, one for my fiance, whom I did not tell we were going to go on a Bigfoot expedition.
Nice.
This is going to be our little pre-wedding surprise, you know? I think anybody would be happy with that, right? That'd be kind of fun.
That's so much fun. I would love that.
Anyway, so I had never been camping prior to this expedition, so I had to buy all the tent, the sleeping bags, the headlamp that they require, and I'm hiding this stuff in we're living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and I'm hiding this stuff in the patio closet underneath like the Christmas decorations. You know, there's no way she is gonna find this stuff. So, anyways, about 3 weeks before the expedition, and I come home from work one evening, and I'm met by her at the doorway, and she had the face on.
Oh.
Megan, do you know the face you give?
Yeah. The face.
Lee, you know the face that you
100%.
Yeah. Well, I was greeted by that. And she had her hand on her hip, and she said, "Mike," she had did something that she had never done ever prior to this. She decided to clean the apartment. And
Shock.
she found all this camping stuff. And she said, Mike, what are we doing? And I said, Hun, we are going to North Florida and we are looking for Bigfoot. And then we broke up.
Because of that?
Yep.
I did not see this coming.
Yeah. So that was okay. There was other stuff, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back, was the Bigfoot investigation. So yeah, there I was. I found out these tickets, come to find out, they're non-refundable. I spent a lot of money. I did not want to go on this Bigfoot expedition anymore, right? This
Yeah.
was like not a thing I wanted to do after this breakup. So I moved to Tampa, the city of Tampa in Florida. I got a job working on the ambulance for the city, which is a really awesome job and a terrible job at the same time. It was a love-hate relationship, and I had 3 ambulance partners. And I had picked the weirdest partner because, again, these tickets are non-refundable, and I had to go on this trip. So I said, Jimmy, that was his name. I said, Jimmy, man, I got a tickets, and we got to go look for Bigfoot in North Florida. Do you want to come with me? And he said, and he's my best friend to this day. He said, oh man, I've always wanted to do that. And I said,
Oh, man.
nice. Right?
Yeah.
So we go up to Torreya State Park. It's in North Florida. It's in the panhandle of North Florida. It's 30 miles from Georgia, about 60 miles from the Gulf of Mexico. It's very beautiful. It's squatchy as anything. We get up there, and there's like 60 other people looking for Bigfoot. And I said, oh my goodness, how are we going to find Bigfoot with 60 other people here? Right? This is kind of getting ridiculous, right? So anyways, we camped kind of far away from everybody because we thought everybody was going to be weird. That was it. Yeah, it's a Bigfoot expedition. Everybody's going to be weird. We're the only sane people here. So we camped away from everybody. Anyways, it was a cool expedition. Nothing happened. It was 3 nights, 4 days of camping in Florida's wilderness, speaking to Bigfoot witnesses and researchers and hiking and stuff, but we didn't find anything related to Bigfoot. Nothing at all. Until our final night. It was actually, excuse me, I'm going to get my props up here. It was our final night, and it was about, I don't know, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30, and Jimmy and I we're watching a meteor shower. Beautiful, celestial. I mean, being from the city of Tampa, we couldn't, we didn't have any respect for the night sky. So, anyways, we're just up there, and all of a sudden, you hear a knock, bam, come from one side of camp. And I immediately thought, I was like, oh my goodness, it's these people that put on the expedition. You know what I mean? That are
Yeah.
knocking, it's just, somebody messing with us. It was hoaxers messing with us. So I didn't think twice about it. So I said, okay, whatever. And about 2 minutes later, we hear a knock from the complete opposite side. So I said, oh man, these people got to be pretty good. They got to be hoaxing us really,
Yeah.
they got to have radio. So
Yeah.
anyways, about 5 minutes goes by, and all of a sudden, excuse me, you hear come crashing down through the canopy of the pine forest. Plunk, a fist-sized rock. Now,
Wow.
it was at this point in my life where I said, nope, this is how horror movies start. I am getting out of here. Jimmy was like, well, if you want to sleep in the car, you're more than welcome to sleep. And by the time he said that, I had my sleeping bag, and I was just beelining it right to the car. So he comes up to the car and he's like, Mike, listen, man, Bigfoot throw rocks and Bigfoot knock on trees. Like, this is the whole point of why we're here. We're here to look for Bigfoot evidence. And this is what they do. So I'm like, yeah, I suppose you're right, So I went back by the campfire. Over the course of the next 15 minutes, 4 more of these fist-sized rocks come crashing down, land 5 to 10 feet away from us.
Wow.
Now, my buddy, Jimmy, after about, 20 minutes, he's after this whole is unsettling. He comes up to me and he says, Mike, I got an idea. I'm going to throw a rock back at it. I say, Jimmy, man, I don't think that's the best idea.
Typical paramedic move, that is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, yeah, So he takes a rock, chucks it back in that direction, and I swear to you, a 15-pound laptop-sized boulder came crashing down, landed 5 feet from us.
So
that was it. And
I would be in like New York State by this time. I'd be like, yeah. I'm going home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a sleepless night. It was a very sleepless night. We went the next morning. We asked, our camp neighbors, hey, did anybody, see? We had all those camp neighbors. Somebody had to hurry here to see those things. Nobody did. So we wanted to be like all scientific and stuff. So we wanted to measure how close this thing could have been to us. And the closest this thing could have been, 75 yards. So I don't know. Unless Nolan Ryan is out there throwing rocks. I don't know if you guys. Nolan Ryan's a baseball player. For the young people.
For the young people, yeah. I'm so used to cricket, you see, not baseball, but.
Oh, cricket. I have no idea what cricket even is, sir.
No.
Remind
me to send you instructions. It's really interesting and funny.
Send me a YouTube video, actually. That'd be more. Yeah, I'd like that.
We can do that, definitely. So after that love-filled night, and another fun fact, you went on a romantic weekend with your buddy Jimmy. I got invited on a honeymoon with a friend of mine that split up a month before his wedding, and he went, I've got 2 tickets. Does this sound familiar? Mike, I've got 2 tickets. Do you want to come to Yugoslavia before everything? On holiday for a week? Yeah. So I went on a guy's honeymoon. So
did you find Bigfoot?
Funnily enough, no. But we weren't looking for him at the time either.
That's cool, though. Yugoslavia sounds like a nice trip.
Oh, yeah. It was like 10 cents for a pint of beer, and I was like 17 at the time. It was really cheap, so that was really cool.
Nice.
So after your initial dirty week, I mean camping weekend, how did you get from there to deciding that I want to make this my entire life?
Yeah, it was so we went into that expedition thinking, and this is I want to make this a very important point. We went into this expedition not thinking there was a Bigfoot. We didn't think there. We went into this weekend, we were going to make fun of all these people that thought there was Bigfoot out there. And we left this expedition knowing that there's something capable of throwing a significant sized rock at us in the woods. So that's a significant change of thought process in a 72-hour period. That's a 180-degree change. So leaving this expedition, Jimmy and I made it our personal goal to figure out what was throwing those rocks at us, right? So we started researching everything we could about Bigfoot. I mean, we started talking to all the researchers, every eyewitness we could get our hands on. We started looking into hotspots. And in about a 2-week time frame, we decided that we are now professionals.
in 2 weeks.
So, cue in Colt Creek State Park. We go out by ourselves because that's the best thing to do, right? And we go into this place called Colt Creek State Park. It's in the Green Swamp in Central Florida. It's really cool. Very squatchy. It's just me and Jimmy, and we get there, and it's one night, and I'm doing Bigfoot calls like it's my job, right? Every 2 feet, I'm doing a Bigfoot call. Anything with a brain would know that there's 2 idiots running through the woods doing these vocalizations, right? I get it. So anyway, Jimmy is not scared at all because he's got his 6-foot tall machete and his 10 million lumen spotlight that he's got shining through the woods, you know? So anyways, we're about 1.5 miles from camp. All of a sudden, Jimmy's spotlight comes across 2 pairs of reflecting eyes. One pair, fire engine red, just like this. The other pair, aqua blue. Intriguing. So anyways, us, in our infinite wisdom of everything in the woods, we thought it was people. We didn't realize people don't have eye shine, right? We can't see, you know.
Yeah.
So we start yelling, "Hey! We're just looking for Bigfoot." And there's no reply, just those eyes looking back at us, right? So we think at this time they're poachers illegally poaching animals. And we're like, "Oh man, this is not a good scenario. We're about to get shot right now." So we say, "Hey, we're just going back to camp. It's all good. You know, we'll leave you guys alone." And then the red set turned, looked at the blue set, turned and looked back at us, and then blinked. Another nope moment. We were out of there.
Yeah. I don't blame
Next day, Jimmy put a notch in the tree. We went back the next day to see, exactly where we saw those eyes, and those eyes were 7.5 feet tall. So,
wow,
yeah, it was cool. That was the second thing, and then I've been hooked ever since.
That is crazy, and it's really funny because when you see the red and the blue eyes, the first thing you do is respond to it, and that's like all these horror flicks where there's a murderer in the kitchen, and the first thing you do is, "Hi, is anybody here?" Sort of like I'll be gone.
Yeah.
I'll be like,
yeah, that was a good intro to a horror movie. You're right. Now that I think about it, yeah.
So you could have been one of these famous actors in a horror movie, dead in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, I would have been that person. Yeah,
at least both of you being paramedics. If one of you got eaten, then you could have tried to save the other, and then you'd have been kind of a hero. But wow, that is crazy. So, at what point did you decide to start doing your YouTube series?
Yeah,
in the shadow of Big Red Eye.
I was watching all the shows on TV, like Finding Bigfoot and Expedition Bigfoot. That wasn't on at the time that I started my show, but there's a couple other Bigfoot research shows on TV at the time, and I was really like taken back by man, these are all designed for ratings and for making money and for the for the networks.
Right.
I'm like, this is not how Bigfooting is all about. So 4 or 5 years after my initial Bigfoot encounter, I decided to start my YouTube series In the Shadow of Big Red Eye, which was designed for getting people off the couch and into nature to try to see something that you wouldn't necessarily see sitting on the couch every day. And that's what I've been doing for 9 years now, ever since.
So why do you think it's so successful? Because I think you're in your 9th season now. Is that correct?
We're filming season 9. We've been doing 9
Yeah.
years. It's crazy. Why is it so successful? I think it's because there's no one. I'm the only uh, current weekly show on YouTube that's about Bigfoot, so that's cool. Two, I'm not like we kind of just mentioned, I'm not designed for ratings or for making money or anything like that. My show, we don't get good activity every episode.
Right.
That's not what it's about. It's like I said, it's about getting people off the couch and into nature, and I think that's what people really relate to and find most important about it.
Yeah. So one thing that I find intriguing, there's a lot of videos out there that people say are Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch, Mothman, or whichever cryptid you want to talk about. But the first one that was ever caught was the Gimlin video. So you must have seen that how many times? Yeah, hundreds by now, I would imagine.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think the Patterson Gimlin is legitimate film? Yes, I do. I have display cast from Cliff Brockman and Dr. Meldrum, respectively, that I've gotten from the day after the film was taken, and then 9 days later, which shows a left and right foot, which is really cool.
Wow.
You can note some in the video. There's many things that would relate it to be a legitimate video. I think it is. If that's what you were asking, yeah.
Yeah, because like I say, that is if you put Bigfoot video into any search engine, pretty much the first one's going to be the Gimlin video.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I think just looking at the video, like Patty or the subject in question, if you will, has a tumor on its thigh. I mean, first of all, in that era, you're not going to make a female Bigfoot costume. And if you are going to, you're not going to put a tumor in its thigh. And then, respectively, you're going to put Bigfoot's hairs, as you could see, patted down as she was swinging her arm back and forth. Very intriguing.
Yeah.
You can watch the video yourself. There's actually a very new stabilized version that just came out, which is really super cool. You can get some very cool detail about that.
I like to say, there's the amount of people that have discussed that video, and like you say, if you're going to go into that fine detail, people weren't probably thinking like, let's go into this expert detail, that exact, time in.
And do you know
life.
how much it would cost to make a costume like that back then?
Yeah.
You'd
It
have to
would
get one of
That's a good
they said
point.
it would like the Hollywood movies couldn't do that at that point.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Right, Megan, over to you then.
Well, I guess like one big question I have, other than red eyes and blue eyes and everything, what do you find is the most common physical characteristics that witnesses have reported to you or that you've seen?
Okay, I just noticed your cat behind you, and that's adorable.
There's my Bigfoot.
Um, oh, hi, baby.
Or small foot, as the case may be.
Yeah, well, she's big. She's 15 pounds, so
Oh
she'll
my
come with
goodness, that's a very big kitty.
she'll come with me in the woods.
Physical. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Physical characteristics of Bigfoot that I've noted. What we look for the most is vocalizations.
Okay.
That's the best way that we're going to get evidence of Bigfoot. Every time we go out, we have our digital voice recorder, and we try to elicit vocalizations from said Bigfoot. And we do that by making either tree knocks or vocalizations ourselves to try to mimic what we think Bigfoot would sound like. And when we get a reply back, we're able to record that and then be able to send that off to professionals. I have like a sound guy that's a linguist in the military and he's able to say that this is X, Y, and Z. Yes, this is a human, this is an animal, or in one really cool case, we got this is not a human and this is not an animal, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
And that's from a scientist in the military.
Does it sound creepy? I feel like I'd be so creeped out if it was talking.
If you go onto my YouTube channel, you can hear it. It's called Best
Yeah,
Bigfoot Vocalization.
got it.
So, kind of going along the same question as Megan asked, if I were to report that I'd seen a Bigfoot to yourself, do you kind of assess the credibility to? Is there like a checkbox that, okay, this has happened, check, this has happened, check, this has happened, check? Or yeah, so how can you like differentiate between somebody that's had a legitimate sighting and then somebody
Yeah.
that has
Well, that's the problem when it comes to Bigfoot field research, because there's no set criteria for the questions that you ask a witness, right? When it comes to EMT work and paramedic work, we have a set criteria
sure,
that you have to go through the check boxes and stuff and say this happened, this happened, this happened. Okay, check. You may have a Bigfoot, or you may have COPD, whatever. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have that for Bigfoot field research. So there's nothing, any interviewer, any witness, I mean, there's no set standard for interview processes when it comes to field research, which is really unfortunate. There's been people that have tried to get that, across the board, but it just unfortunately doesn't happen.
cool. So, Megan, over to you again.
What is the biggest
She's got to
challenge you face when trying to investigate Bigfoot?
Oh, that's great question. Biggest challenge I face is, and roll with me on this one,
Yeah.
is I'm a Bigfoot field researcher. I'm out in the woods. I spent 139 nights last year tent camping looking for Bigfoot. I'm going to be the one that gets evidence of Bigfoot, correct?
Yeah.
Let's just say it. I mean,
Yeah.
odds are in my favor that I'm
Right.
probably going to get evidence over than somebody that's not in the woods at all. So if I get the clearest evidence of Bigfoot, say a 20-second long, hey, I'm shaking hands with Mr. Foot type of thing,
Yeah.
and I get that on video, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be the one that's hoaxing it. That's going to be that's not going to be, I'm the one out there looking for Bigfoot. So of course I'm going to get big evidence of Bigfoot. That's a problem that inherently Bigfoot researchers have. Second problem is, what do we do when we get evidence of Bigfoot? When I get clear and total evidence of Bigfoot, because I think it's going to happen one day. I do think I'm going to be able to see Bigfoot one day.
Yep.
But what am I going to do with that? I want to do what protects the species most. Preserve the species. I want to protect that species. I want to save that species. Do I release that evidence, and do I say, to the government and say this is a new species that we now have to protect?
Yep.
Or do I not release that and let the species be that's been going for how many years and years and years by itself?
That's it. And that's the $1 million question. Yeah.
That's an inherently great question, isn't it?
Yeah, that is fantastic. Because at the end of the day, if you give away that location, you can guarantee within a few days you're going to get trucks and trucks of people with shotguns, nets,
And not
whatever.
only that, you're gonna get moms and dads in their woods trying to get a trophy kill of Bigfoot. And
Yes.
what does Bigfoot look like in the woods? It looks like a guy in a ghillie suit. You're gonna get people shooting people.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
exactly.
So
So
true.
yeah, I would kind of, because like we do a lot of paranormal investigations,
Mhm.
and people say to me, "Well, it's all fake," and I go, "Well, I've got this evidence, I've got that evidence,
Yeah.
but if I know what I experienced is genuine, that's all that matters to me.
For sure.
I saw that or I heard that. I don't care what anybody else thinks." And it's the same for yourself. If you've experienced it, even if you've gone up to Bigfoot and shook his hand, that's a personal experience for you and something that you should keep close to your heart. I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but it's true.
Hmm.
Rather than spoil that species, spoil what they've had for the last X amount of years living in relative peace. Like you say, you're going to get every man and his dog turn up to try and capture it and either put it in a zoo or put it in mount it on a wall.
And that begs you to ask the question, how many people have evidence of Bigfoot that they've never released before?
Yeah.
That's a very good
Yeah.
question. But we're the one asking the questions, not you.
Yeah, but think about it though. Have your
But
fans think
it's
about that.
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
That's
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like
It's
crap. That's a good
yeah.
question.
That is yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, don't take my last comment the wrong way, but I'm joking. But
No, no, you're good.
yeah. But it's right though, isn't it? It is. How
yes.
many people have not released it? That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know
Uh,
somebody
amazing.
has somebody has evidence of Bigfoot and it's the positive proof that we need. You know if somebody does.
Yeah.
It's there's no
Yeah.
question about that.
Yeah.
If Bigfoot's out there, somebody has proof positive evidence. Just a
I say,
matter of
and the thing is,
who.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And even if you're thinking about this on a logical wavelength, if you give away a location, you may not get the hunters or the families going Bigfoot hunting, but if you get the film's crew is going to turn up with two or three vehicles, loads of cameras and lights. So if there is a Bigfoot close by, with all the noise that a film crew makes, they're just going to go, "Yeah, I'm not
See you
showing
later.
myself to these
Yeah.
people. I'm
Yeah.
going to have an early night."
Hmm.
Yeah.
And like, I'll wait until
Yeah.
they've all disappeared.
You want to know just another subtopic off of that?
Go for it.
The reason why the United States government is never going to acknowledge the existence of Bigfoot is because look at where Bigfoot has been seen in the Pacific Northwest. If Bigfoot is noted to be a new species, it's going to be an endangered species which needs protecting. That means environmental protection. That means protecting the land that Bigfoot is known to exist in. What is the Pacific Northwest in the United States known for? Logging. That's our biggest export in the United States. That's going to be shut down in the Pacific Northwest if Bigfoot is known to exist. That's why the government is probably, unless without a reasonable doubt, is going to acknowledge the existence of Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's always dollars before anything else, isn't it? At the end of the
100%.
day.
Yep.
Always.
Okay, Megan.
Well, that brings us, I guess, to the next question. What is the most compelling piece of evidence you've ever found while investigating Bigfoot?
That's a great question too. I mean, we found some really cool stuff. I don't get evidence, a lot of people say like I get evidence every time I go out or every other time I go out and that's if you get evidence like that, I don't think you're a very good researcher because I don't think you know what you're looking for. I get it 1 in 10 times, maybe at best. I get some sort of maybe something. And that's because I go into the hot spots of the country. dive into the hot spots of the Bigfoot. Anyways, the best piece of evidence I've probably come across was up in High Point State Park in northwestern New Jersey, which is up by me. We came across there were 5 of us, and I did a barred owl call, which I don't know if you're familiar with. It goes whoa 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 whoa, and I did one of those things. Excuse my accent, but I did one of those things, and a Bigfoot got responded back. It was 3 howls. It was ooh, ooh, and then I said, "That's not a coyote," and it ooh, and it's all on my YouTube channel. You can hear it, but again, like I said, kind of I alluded prior. I sent that away to linguist from the military, and he said that's no known animal outside of human range. Additionally, we found footprints from High Point State Park, which are really cool. We found six footprints over 70 yards that were, if you can imagine, like a gigantic bear double step footprint. That's what it would be. They were 11 inches wide by 15 and a half inches long. So if that was a bear double step, that would be because sometimes when a bear steps, its back foot will land on its front foot, look very human like. That would be a record size black bear in New Jersey plus 200 pounds. It would be 1,000-pound black bear.
And even so, you wouldn't want to meet that, even if it was.
No.
It was like
no,
like,
thank you.
It's
Nope.
like, okay,
A
I'm happy.
1,000-pound black bear. That would be almost, I mean, almost impossible.
Yeah.
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 And there would be evidence.
Well, and this thing also, the footprint didn't have any claw marks on it, which is intriguing because if you're a 1,000-pound black bear, you have to have your claws to be able to survive, especially in the winter when we found these tracks.
For sure.
Yeah. I don't know. So cool.
That is crazy. So, on a similar sort of question, what evidence would you hope to find if you could definitively prove Bigfoot's existence? Like you said, footprints, DNA example. What kind of evidence would you really hope to find to say, yes, I've just experienced Bigfoot?
And honestly, I think going back to kind of what we said before, I don't know if I'd want to I have my evidence collection kit in my backpack, and I would love to, I've casted footprints and stuff before. I would love to be able to grab some hair and shove it in a bag and then spend $4,000 and try to get it analyzed and have it come back to be black bear. I'd love to do that. That would be fantastic for me.
Yeah.
The fact is, as Bigfoot field researchers, we are not in it nowadays to look for evidence. We're not in it to look for DNA. It's too expensive. We don't have that kind of money in our pocket.
Yeah.
There's no fund that we can tap into to look, to get our evidence analyzed. So what it comes down to is video, pictures. That's what it comes down to. So that's what we try to really focus on nowadays when it comes to field research.
Yeah. And I do have another question, but I think you've already kind of covered it because my next question was going to be, what would be the potential implications for the scientific community and the public? But I think you kind of already answered that one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, Megan, over to you for this one then.
How do you respond to the critics who dismiss Bigfoot as a myth or misidentification?
Can we swear on this program?
Go ahead. Yeah, we've got the explicit button checked, so we're good.
I just did. No, think no, to be dead honest, I hid the fact that I was into Bigfoot for a long time from my friends and my family. I big Being into Bigfoot is liking Bigfoot is weird. Being into Bigfoot is kind of weird. Being a Bigfoot field researcher is really weird. Devoting your life to Bigfoot is absolutely batshit. How do I respond to critics is you give me a question, I'll give you an answer, and
Yeah.
it's I mean I'll go ring to punch to punch with you. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And funnily
I had I
enough,
had
oh,
I had somebody, one of my, because so I speak at libraries full time. That's my full time job, is speaking at libraries about Bigfoot, and that funds my way to camp at state parks and national forests at night, looking for Bigfoot and filming my show. One of the first programs that I put on was in Florida, and I did this. This guy came in 15 minutes late, and he sat in the front row, and I did my spiel, and I was so nervous, and I was like, does anybody have any questions? And he raised his hand, first one. I was like, yes, you, sir. And he's like, he stood up and he turned around to the audience and he said, do you guys believe in any of this crap? And everybody just gasped. The whole audience just audibly gasped. And I was like, oh my God, like, what are you, why are you here? Like, what is the point of you being here? And I should have said, well, if you didn't come in, I should have, but I was so new. I was just like, sir, you just gotta relax and look at I tried to spiel my way out of it, but I should have just threw him out. But
oh
that's
man.
that's what I get. That's a common occurrence. That's
And
unfortunate though.
I think it's the same in no matter what you do within the paranormal,
Yeah.
you kind of get a lot of people with the same response. I had a colleague last year when I told him there was a paranormal investigator. He went, "Oh, that's a load of crap." And I
Yeah.
went,
Yeah.
"So what evidence do you have?" And he went, "What?" And I went, "Well, you've obviously done your research and you've done all the science stuff. So what evidence do you have?" And he went, "Well, I haven't got any." So I went, "Okay." I went, "So I've got some evidence." I
Yeah.
says, I'm not saying it's paranormal. I'm not saying it's a ghost. I'm saying it's unexplained, and I've got
Hmm.
evidence to prove it. And he can't. And then the way that we actually do our investigations, where we will actually look at the scientific side of the paranormal first
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
before we go into the paranormal part of it. And people start going, well, that's a really cool way of doing it. So you look at the natural phenomena before you go into anything else, and
Yeah.
that does
I'd just say
that.
screw him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that works too. So, have you ever been north of the border to do any investigations?
Nah, they won't let me in there.
That's extremely rude.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. No, I haven't been. I'm actually working on maybe 2026 getting up into Canada, but really far up there. Not like just like play Canada, like way up there.
Yeah, out in the boonies.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I was actually just talking to a friend right before we got on the podcast. Big Bear Lake or something like that. I heard
that's
that's supposed to be really great for Bigfoot, so I'm gonna look into that.
well,
That's
can it,
that's apparently a plane trip though, so we got
well,
to
yeah,
figure that out.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're talking to an Englishman that now lives in Canada. You mention places, I go, "What is that in Canada?" Yeah, it's like 3 miles down the road. Oh, okay. So, one of our final questions for the evening, Mike, and I do love this question. I think it's fantastic. That's just my personal opinion. If you found out there were no further sightings or evidence of Bigfoot, it just stopped for whatever reason, but you found out that another cryptid was proven, which one would it be and why?
Shit, that's a good question. Tasmanian tiger. Is that a cryptid or no?
Well, there's so many of them. It could be.
The thylacine. I would if Bigfoot was done and I proved the existence of Bigfoot, I would go down to Tasmania and look for the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, which is it's a dog tiger hybrid that was extinct, I think, back in the early 1900s. The last one was extinct in a zoo, but there's still sightings
Wow.
of it to this day. And I would love to go down there and try to find it.
Yeah.
Plus, I think the actors are pretty hot.
I think because of my background, I'd have to go with Nessie. Yeah.
Nessie's cool.
Yeah.
You
What
gotta
about
love
you,
Nessie.
Megan? Yeah.
I don't
Megan's
even know.
going to go. You're asking me a question
This
on
is
cryptids.
me. I don't know. How do I?
Hey Megan, how many Bigfoot do you think there are in the United States?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna randomly guess 103. There's my guess.
103.
That's a good guess. I like it. Very specific.
Yeah.
So, the final question of the evening, unfortunately, because this has been really fun. Is there a
it's already
question?
over. Oh
I
no.
know. Is there a question that you wish we'd ask you and didn't?
Oh, that's a good question.
Throwing these. This is good. I like this because these are questions I haven't been asked before. No. Is there a question? Ask it again. Ask it again.
Is there a question you wish we'd have asked you, but we haven't?
I mean, I could just spew all my stuff, but there's no reason to do that. If if your fans like my stuff, to look it up. I think what I would love to leave everybody at, and kind of like how I leave all my presentations and my speaking appearances at, and I think it's just think of this quote and take it how you may, but if the possibility of Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster is far superior to one without. Life with the possibility of Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster is far superior to one without. That's the truth.
I think that is the perfect end to that podcast. It's a fantastic statement. So, for all you guys that are listening, if you want to follow Mike further, he's got a fantastic YouTube channel called In the Shadow of Big Red Eye. I highly suggest you subscribe to it. Let's get him a lot more followers, and you can hear
New
more
episodes every Monday.
Every Monday.
Today's Thursday, so we're okay with I'm just checking because like doing these podcasts, you forget what day it is. But Mike, I would like to thank you. You've been an absolute fantastic guest. You come out with some really cool stories, and hopefully we'll come and see you again at a location closer to you, like New Jersey last time when we first met.
Absolutely.
Thank you, my friend.
Megan, Lee, thank you so much. It's been such a fun time.
Awesome. Thanks very much. Take care all, and we'll be back soon.
Bye, everyone.